My father, Zichrono Livracha, lost his faith in God shortly after coming to America, when he learned that his entire family in Poland had perished in the Holocaust. Even before, though, he considered himself a cultural Jew, more interested in Jewish history, literature, music, philosophy, and archaeology. After he retired, by a fluke, he discovered there were rabbis in his family, going back a few generations. Naturally curious, he began to see what this was all about, and each generation of rabbis led to the one before, until after around 25 years of exhaustive research in Poland, libraries around this country, and in Israel, he created a family tree that literally went back to Rashi of Mainz. What incredible pride he felt. He lectured about this at genealogy meetings, wrote numerous articles, and talked to anyone who would listen. Finally, he had found his real connection to Jewish history through the incredible journey of the rabbinic dynasties. What does this have to do with me? Was it enough that I too was on the family tree, and would that suffice to affirm my Torah values? For a while, I thought so. Should I rest on my laurels, standing on the shoulders of the ancestors that came before me? Or did I need to find my own voice of Torah understanding? Rabbi Yossi said, "Let the property of your fellow be as precious as your own." My father's efforts became a source of pride to me, perhaps not as precious as they were to him, but nevertheless a feeling of kavod toward him for his momentous effort. But it still begged the question, where were my own efforts relative to my own Torah study? Sadly, the answer at the time was none. Rabbi Yossi continues, "Make yourself fit to study Torah, for it will not be yours by inheritance." I was called to act on my own behalf. I began going to shul on Shabbat and looking over the Parshat HaShavua. I listened closely to the drash and tried to find moral lessons I could use in everyday life. It was a start, but still not enough. So I began studying the entire Parsha with commentary before Shabbat and found some online discussions as well as classes at STS on each week's Sidra. The questions and moral dilemmas erupted like a geyser and led me to more inquiry and still more questions. I had to learn on my own Torah, that is, how it spoke to me as an individual and how only I could take its lessons and try to live by them. More easier said than done. Not only by learning, but in the doing, however halting it was, I began to see that the work was indeed for the sake of heaven, which to me meant drawing closer to God. This took many forms, Torah study, of course, but also involvement with the community, doing acts of chesed, practicing mindfulness, and focusing on the other before me and bearing their burden to the measure I was able. When I was younger, I thought there was only one truth, absolute and immutable, and the purpose of life was to find it. This was a romantic notion, far removed from the real world. Now I see truth as a verb, that in the doing of the good, truth and God are revealed, that I am a thread in a larger tapestry of truth, that being a Jew is trying to do the right thing constantly, whatever is in front of me at any given moment, to move the needle toward emet and chesed while I am blessed with the days to do so. Rabbi Yossi had it right. We can gain wisdom and enthusiasm from those who came before us, but it is only I who can propel forward and enlarge that wisdom for myself and all Israel.